Hey everybody, I'm Jason Inman and I like to read comic books. I also like to watch television shows that are based around comic books like Legends of Tomorrow, and we're gonna break down, give you some Easter eggs, and then break down every scene and every moment that we liked from episode 14, River of Time of Legends of Tomorrow. Let's hop into some Easter eggs. The only Easter egg that I noticed in tonight's episode was a mention of Jurgens Ridge. That, of course, is a reference to Dan Jurgens, the creator of Booster Gold, and as we said several times in these videos, Booster Gold is Rip Hunter's father. We begin the episode with a flashback to some of the previous episodes where we noticed that one of the first times that Rip tried to kill Vandal Savage way back in ancient Egypt, he wasn't successful, he was jailed, and we get to see the exact opposite of last week's episode where Vandal, of course, was in the cell, and like he's in the cell this entire episode, which I think was a neat twist and a parallel. There was a nice moment of the team reacting to Kendra not killing Vandal Savage just like we reacted to it, where they were all drinking on the bridge, and then they discover, Ray Palmer discovers, that Vandal Savage has advanced technology. He has technology that is more advanced than 2166. This, of course, leads Rip to be like, all we gotta do is tell the Time Masters, and we can get this all sorted out. Now, if you don't know the end of the episode already, I'm just gonna go ahead and ruin it for you. Vandal Savage works for the Time Masters. He's with the Time Masters. They're in cahoots. And to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised that Rip didn't figure that out, because I've kind of had that feeling for a couple episodes now that Vandal is with the Time Masters. So it was kind of a little bit disappointed to find out that Rip was a little bit behind the audience. There were some nice moments in this episode where Vandal Savage knew every single member of the team and that he'd learned back in the 70s who they were, and he spent 200 years trying to figure out. That's how he figured out time travel, that's how he figured out. Little beats like this is why it was so impressive to see Vandal Savage behind that scene to be the ultimate manipulator like Hannibal Lecter, where he was manipulating everybody. Casper Crump, performance in this episode, great. Then, of course, the Wave Rider gets damaged and they're stuck in the time stream while they're trying to make it to Vanishing Point. But they're always like, what do we do? Martin gets very concerned that he's never going to go back to 2016. And then we get a nice little scene with Sarah talking to Vandal Savage. And Vandal Savage asks, how is Laurel? Now, very interesting that a couple weeks ago, of course, Laurel Lance died on Arrow. So was he making a reference to that? Or was this just another jibe that he's like, I know everything about you. I fought your sister before. And that Legends of Tomorrow crossover. What do you got to bring? Jefferson then gets hit with a little time blast and he flashes back to the past where he sees where his mom gave him a watch one night when she's having dinner. I like that we got to meet Jack Jefferson's both his parents, now his father and his mother now, and I like that little moments. These little flashbacks in this episode really, really worked because it let us show the humanizing aspect of each one of these characters before they're gonna go do crazy through time and beat the Time Masters, whatever they're gonna do. Rip Hunter in one part of this episode mentioned that he would sell out the entire crew to save his family, and Sarah called him on it, so did Captain Cold. Again, this is another aspect of Rip Hunter that I like because you're making him more like the Doctor. If you cannot trust Rip Hunter, it immensely makes it more dramatic because you're not sure at any point what he's going to do or whether he's on your side, which is something that has worked very well for Doctor Who. Like, at the end of the day, you know the Doctor's going to be a good guy, but at certain points, he might leave you behind on a planet, and Rip Hunter is the same way. Vandal Savage had a pretty good scene with Ray Palmer in this episode where he revealed that Shiera once loved him and that if he freed Carter's mind, the same thing would happen to Ray Palmer. The only problem with this is that Ray Palmer takes the bait, of course, and stupidly eventually lets him out of his cage. But again, there's another thing, Casper Crump, and Brandon Routh stepped on the Casper Crump's level, and they were equal partners in this scene, this very turnt scene of like these two men that have loved Shiera and they're kind of getting screwed over. I also love that we got to see Felicity tonight. Of course, this is when the time in Arrow Season 4 where Felicity is in a wheelchair, and we learned that Felicity knew about Ray's time travel mission, and she caught him at the very last moment and said, like, oh, of course you're going to find another gal for you. There's another gal out there. Well, Felicity, there is another gal out there for him. Fortunately, she has wings, and she's always going to love this other guy. Which leads us right into another scene where Kendra is saying a love poem to Carter, and Ray's like, you don't say love poetry to me. What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And of course, Kendra tries to backpedal the entire time. Now, this was, for me, a stupid scene. I didn't really like it. And again, it's, forcing the Ray and Kendra relationship right on top of us. Captain Cold gets a humanizing moment where he demands that he wants to get out. Him and Heatwave are just going to jump ship. They can use the jump ship. Rip says use the jump ship, and Jack's getting this disease from the time device. He's aging more accelerated, so he's going to die. And Captain Cold got a nice moment of humanity that Leonard Snart did when he said that Jax deserved better, which is something that you don't usually see from Captain Cold, and I thought was played very well in this episode. We see a very quick Nyssa flashback, and then of course Martin goes to talk to Vandal Savage and tries to convince him to use his immortality and stuff like that. And then Martin makes a decision to put Jax into the jump ship and send him away, giving away their only chance to get out of the time stream as far as they know. He thinks that this process will reverse age Jax back to normal aging, and he gets a really powerful scene between the two of them when they say their final goodbye, and he tells Jax to say goodbye to his wife. Again, Victor Garber kills it in every scene in this show, and this really proves why this elder statesman actor is just one of the best television actors out there right now. Of course, Vandal eggs Ray to finally open up the cage. Ray gets a couple good punches in, but then Vandal just takes him to town. And then Vandal frees Hawkman, and it becomes Heatwave Captain Cold and Ray Kendra versus Crazy Hawkman and Vandal. At the same time, in the bridge, Martin Stein and Sarah and Rip Hunter are trying to fly the ship through the time stream without Gideon because Vandal Savage has sacrificed the computer. This is a very interesting scene, except Vandal Savage takes them all out, and at the last moment, Kendra saves the day, except then Vandal kills Carter again, but it seems like Carter is not dead. Then we finally get to Vanishing Point, which is a big Rip Hunter Booster Gold Easter egg. We finally get to see it. He brings Vandal Savage in front of the Time Masters. Rip Hunter's like, look guys, this is what I've been doing. You need to get with it. And they're gonna like, let's take him back to 2166 because Vandal Savage has been working with us. Again, this reveal wasn't that surprising. We all knew it was coming. We knew what was up with this. And so I was really surprised that Rip was surprised by it, but I understand why they did it for storytelling reasons. And of course, the episode ends with the whole crew getting captured and Rip being in a cage, just like Vandal Savage was in a cage in the very beginning. Now, if I was to rate this episode of Legends of Tomorrow between 1 to 5, Captain Coldheads, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best, I would actually give this a 5. For being a bottle episode, you can tell they're saving up money for the season finale. I thought there was a lot of strong character moments mixed with a lot of drama in this episode, and I think it's a nice setup to show us how far the characters have come, to show us their moments like right before they got on the time ship. I would have liked to have seen Captain Cold's, and I would have liked to have seen Heatwave's moments before they got in the ship, but I can assume that they were probably just robbing somewhere, so that's all right. Guys, I want to let you know down in the comments, how do you think Rip is going to get out of that cage? Because they told the joke about that in ancient Egypt, he had the pin that had the naked lady, and the Egyptian guard let him out. How do you think Rip's going to get out of the cage of the Time Masters? Will he be rescued by Booster Gold? Or did Captain Cold get away from the Time Master cronies? I want you to let me know down in the comments how you think Rip Hunter got away. Guys, don't forget that you can support all the videos we do over here at patreon.com/Jolin. There are plenty of exclusive stuff, including an exclusive podcast over there. You can click that right there. And don't forget to check out all my other videos, including my Game of Thrones recap show. I'll be seeing you next week as we jump through time with more Legends of Tomorrow. Be seeing you.